Say, what's cracking, YouTube? It's your boy 16 to life, and I'm back like I'm on a parole violation. Yard down! Now, for those of y'all that's new to my page, in 1994, I got arrested. I was eventually sentenced to 16 years plus life, and I served 24 years straight in the California prison system. If you're new to my channel, I'm telling you, man, go check out my YouTube playlist. I have a lot of my stories organized into different categories, and you will definitely find something that you like. I'm telling you, man. Do not miss out. I got some great stories on there. Anyway, let's hop right up into this video. So, this is not the original video that I planned on doing today. The video that I was going to do is titled, In the Hole with Northerners and Southerners. But suddenly I got called away on an emergency and I didn't have time to finish editing that video. So I'm going to just try to give you guys this one real quick, right? And so, I think I'm going to title this video something along the lines of why dropouts and P.C'S get so much hatred, right? And so the bottom line in a nutshell, I think it is because in a lot of people's minds, individuals who come to prison and then go to a PC yard or SNY yard, which is sensitive needs yard, for whatever reason, they don't live up to the expectations other people had of these individuals, right? And I think that's the bottom line, right? You have a lot of individuals who assume that everybody on a protective custody yard is there for horrific charges like forcing themselves on females, you know, inappropriate things with underage children, things of that nature. But that is not always the case, right? Sometimes it's, you know, sometimes you may have an individual who got drunk. He got drunk on the tier. He may have said something extremely disrespectful and offended other races, and his collective decided that it was time to go. Sometimes you might have an individual who has a drug problem. He runs up a drug debt. He's either unwilling to pay or he can't pay, or maybe his money that was being sent to him didn't come fast enough. And, you know, he's stabbed on the yard and he's no longer desired on general population. You know, sometimes it's various different reasons that may cause an individual to go PC or whatever, right? I trip on whether it's in my comment section or in the comment section of others that there's always a lot of hate thrown at individuals like that. And sometimes seemingly by the comments made that I've read, some of these individuals have not even went to prison, but they have a great disdain or a great dislike for individuals who have, and even though they're civilians, you know, by every sense of the word, they still have adopted a criminal mentality in terms of individuals who fail to meet the expectations and stay on the main line. I've even seen in prison where guards, and we're talking about prison guards and correctional officers who who have chose to come in there and work as an extension of law enforcement. They're supposed to, you know, keep the prison safe, protect individuals. I have seen guards on numerous occasions speak very disparagingly, very terrible about individuals who have went PC. So it's like almost even these guards have adopted a prison type of mentality, right? And so let's just say that an individual has been going to a church, you know, and your priest, your rabbi, your pastor, your reverend, whatever you refer to your spiritual leader as, has been up there speaking. He has been speaking about doing the right thing, you know, according to whatever religion that he is. He is talking about, you know, how you need to stick to the virtues of the, you know, of the Bible or whatever it is he's preaching. Then maybe 7 or 8 years into him being, you know, your spiritual leader, pastor, preacher, whatever, comes to find out he's been having a relationship for 3 or 4 years with a young, you know, 25-year-old, and he's married. You're going to have great many people of that congregation upset with this spiritual leader. Why? Not because he went PC, but because he did not stick to the principles he was telling everybody else to stick to. And that's pretty much the same thing when it comes to these gang members or whatever, whether Crip, whether Blood, or whatever faction, when they end up going to the PC yard, is basically they're not practicing what they're preaching. We can say a great majority, let's just say maybe 60%, at least maybe 70% of prisoners who are in prison I believe it's assumed that at one point in time, they have victimized somebody. So then, of course, you know, you have the individuals who feel that, okay, when it's your turn to get victimized, when it's your turn to stand under the fire, when it's your turn to stand 10 toes down, once again, you can't do it and you go PC. And that's why you have a lot of individuals who choose to have a lot of hatred toward these people, right? But like I said, sometimes it's not horrific charges, right? Let me give you guys a quick story. When I was in Salinas Valley, I was in the prison cell with a dude by the name of Big H. Well-known Crip from Compton, right? Well-known Crip. He had life. His word was extremely respected and valuable on that yard. He happened to loan somebody his Super 2, which is basically a speaker, a radio speaker. And at that time, you could connect it to a Walkman and play tapes out of that. So he loaned that to somebody else. The dude comes back a little later, whenever it was, and he tells him, hey, man, the sergeant took your Super 3, I guess, or his Super 2 or whatever it was. He was playing it somewhere where he shouldn't have been playing it, right? So as Big H comes in the cell, you know, he's contemplating this thing over in his head. He's thinking about it. He asked me, what did I think about it? And Big H is really on the verge of stabbing this dude because he thinks this dude is lying to him and he's trying to keep his Super 2. Just so happened that the sergeant who this dude claimed had took the Super 2, just so happened the next day was his off day. So he wasn't going to be back for 2 days, right? And when I tell you, Big H was getting ready to stab that dude was damn near stabbed a couple of times. You know, Big H would say, oh, he think about it. He say, oh, man, this dude is trying to play me. This dude is trying to play me. Then he'd tell himself he was going to wait till the sergeant came. Then he'd say, no, man, I'm fixing to go out there. And, you know, he really pulled out his knife and got to sharpen it, putting the handle on it and everything, right? So for whatever reason, he decides, okay, Big H decides that, yeah, I'll wait till the sergeant comes back. So he waits those 2 days, you know, and periodically, he's in the cell. He's asking me about it. And I'm thinking like, dang, this dude is still tripping on this type of stuff. But now keep in mind, this is I haven't been in prison 5-6 months, right? And so you have to understand some dudes live and they die by these prison politics, right? So long story short, the sergeant comes, and during those 2 days, Big H had asked me, hey, man, did you see Sergeant whatever his name was? Did you happen to even see him here that day? He wasn't even working that day. That dude is lying, right? So I didn't know the sergeant. I hadn't seen him. So I said, no, I don't recall seeing him or whatever. So the sergeant comes back on his regular work day, and it's true that the sergeant did take the Super 2, the radio, right? So he ends up giving Big H the radio back or whatever. And my whole point of saying that is, that's when I realized how deadly prison was, because sometimes a person's life could be hanging in the balance of another dude's rationale, whether right or wrong. You know, now say Big H had chose to go out there and stab the dude. He had got caught, and so they went to the hole, and Big H would have never had a chance to check with this sergeant due to who Big H was. This dude's word, his word was highly respected. This other individual would have been branded as a thief, a liar, and potentially would have had to go PC because of that, right? Because Big H's word was so influential and his car was so big. So that individual could have potentially went to other prisons, been attacked, stabbed, and just chose to roll up. So it's a bunch of different reasons why sometimes individuals go PC. And it only matters as much as we make it matter. Sometimes I trip on, you see these former prisoners, right, who will talk about how they're out there doing the right thing. They're working, they're taking care of their family. They got a 9-to-5. They're not doing anything illegal, but they're still holding on to certain type of feelings toward these dropouts, P.C'S. And this is not an endorsement or an indictment of any individual who happens to have those type of feelings. You know, just with me, sometimes people will tell me, you know, chill, don't even mention those dudes. Don't even, not anybody specific, but just P.C'S, period. Why would you even bring up a person who is no good, right? And my thinking on that is, at the end of the day, I have a prison channel, right? And the reality of the situation is, some people don't always remain on the main line, right? And you have people who are interested in what goes on in prison. And that is one facet of prison. You know, people going to the PC yards for whatever reason, right? At one point in time, maybe about a year and a half ago, I was going to interview an individual who went to a SNY yard for his own reasons, whatever. It wasn't nothing horrific or disgusting, right? But by me being in prison 24 years, I'm interested about what goes on over there, and so it was strictly for that reason, but we never got around to it. But at the end of the day, um it only matters as much as we make it matter. Some people, it matters a whole lot to them, and other people, it doesn't necessarily matter. So it's just all on how a person feels when you have individuals who have went that route. Now, to keep it 100 with y'all, right? I'm gonna give you another quick story. I had a homie from my hood. He was from Bannon, right? Now, due to the age difference between me and him, he was younger than me. I had never met him on the street. Maybe around in the mid 2000s, I started hearing people mention his name. People asking me, "Hey, Chill, you got a homie name, Whoop-de Whoop or whatever, right?" And 8 times out of 10, when somebody would mention his name to me, it would not be in high regards. The dude was known for doing things that are frowned upon in prison, running up gambling debts, lying, stealing, just things that could have easily got him stabbed, right? And I don't necessarily believe he ended up going PC, right? But once he came home, he continued to do negative things, right? So now, say I paroled, would I hang out with that dude? Let's just say he had a went PC. And no, I would not hang out for him, but not because he went PC per se, but because our moral compasses pointed in different directions. This dude was willing to do things that I did not believe in. Any individual, in my opinion, who is willing to play with his life, steal, run up debts, lie, do scandalous stuff in prison in an area where it's confined and you have a lot of killers there, it's crazy. So why would I hang out with an individual who endorses that type of behavior? Lord knows what this dude is doing on the streets, right? So I'm not even going to put myself in a position to get smashed when the smashers come to smash him, because some of the smashers don't care who they smash. And anybody that's hanging out with this dude when the smashing time comes will get smashed right along with this dude, because a lot of dudes believe in don't leave no witnesses. So it would be foolish of me to hang with this individual when I know that he does things that I'm not willing to do, because I know that it is wrong, right? Unfortunately for the homie who I'm speaking of, he ended up losing his life out there in Bannon, doing some stuff that basically was down low and somebody else disapproved of. So it's for reasons like that I would not hang with dudes who have went to that side, because a lot of them, when they have gone to that side for doing scandalous stuff like drug debts, gambling, stealing cell phones or whatever, they're willing to do things that I'm not willing to do. So it's not necessarily because they went PC. It's because they're willing to engage in behavior that, for me, is definitely going to get you in a situation. I have homies who I grew up with all my life. I can drop $1,000 and I would take a step and they say, "Hey, Chill, homie, you drop your money." I have some other homies who, when I drop $1,000, they'll step on it and be praying to God I leave and don't notice it's missing. So, it's certain individuals, if their activities, their beliefs and decisions are not in align with mine, I'm not going to hang with those dudes, right? So, to me, a dude going PC, it really only matters as much as an individual makes it in terms of YouTube, right? You have some dudes, like I said, who don't want nothing to do with them. And I don't disagree with them, right? To each his own, man, to each his own. But, like I said, just in terms of why I believe they get so much hate, at the end of the day, it boils down to they did not live up to the expectations. Man, I can't tell you how many times I've been in prison and I've heard somebody call somebody else a fake Muslim or a fake Christian because this dude is not sticking to the principles and the rules or the tenets of an individual of that faith, right? So it's not so much, like I said, a dude going PC, as it is that, when these dudes have these negative feelings, is basically because they feel let down by the individual who has not chose to live their life by a certain manner. Anyway, so if the stuff matters to you, it matters to you, right? But anyway, man, outside of that, you already know what time it is, man. Matter of fact, I learned long time ago that everybody is not who they say they are. Actually, I have a song. It's called I'd Rather Be a Square. It's on all streaming sites. I'm telling y'all, man, I gas. Go check that song out by 16 to Life, 16 DALIFE. It's called Rather Be a Square. Anyway, man, you already know what time it is. It's your boy 16 to Life. Resume normal program.